TheBradRules!
W.D. Gaster is one of the most elusive characters in Toby Fox's creations, Undertale and Deltarune. This character may have not even appeared at all, and he's talked about more than many characters that have confirmed appearances. I mean, we just assume this sprite is Gaster, but there never has been any confirmation on that. The sprite is under the file name SPR_Mystery-Man, so there is a chance it's not him, but come on, we all know that it is, and Toby Fox just simply didn't want to commit to it. So what's my point? Well, it's crazy to me how much attention this guy gets, and most of what we get as far as Gaster content in Undertale is stuff that you probably could go your whole life without ever experiencing. Why? Well, most of this stuff is strictly dependent on what your fun value is during a playthrough. This is a number between 1 and 100 that is assigned to you at the start of every new playthrough. Now, PC gamers have the benefit of manipulating the game files and getting the desired result, but console gamers are going to have to play a whole hell of a lot to even see this stuff. Well, they could always look it up on YouTube, but seeing the hidden content firsthand certainly has a different effect. Hidden behind these fun values is this mysterious room in the waterfall area that holds Gaster. The crazy thing is, this room may not even appear with the correct fun value, which is 66, and you might just get a barren hallway with no door to access the room. So imagine that you get the hallway on the off chance, which is a 1 in 100 chance, but it's certainly worthless because there's still only a 10% chance the door will even appear. Yeah, seriously, Gaster is well hidden. Now, there is the off chance you could run into one of Gaster's followers, which are these spooky NPCs who are just hanging around the Hotlands, and each of them has a bit of interesting dialogue to share about the man they follow so dearly. The first follower has the highest probability of appearing and talks about how Gaster created the core and he fell into his creation. It's not clear though if he means he literally fell into the core, but he sounds like he did, because the second Gaster follower, being the rarest of all, says he showered across time and space, which would make sense because the core is creating magical electricity, which I would think has the power to do just that. The follower even claims to be holding a piece of Gaster himself before vanishing just like Gaster. The third follower alludes to the fact that Gaster's experiments went wrong one day, which led to his fate. But the question is, was it the experimentation that went wrong that led him to plummet into the core, or was it something else? He also creeps us the fuck out by telling us that Gaster is listening, so the plot definitely thickens, now alluding to the fact that Gaster could very well be watching our every move. And I'm sure he is doing just that. Also, can we talk about how truly disturbing this follower looks? I know this sprite appears in Deltarune, and we know it's some kind of bird monster, but here that was not identifiable to me at all, and he looks like a giant freaky head that sprouted out of the ground. But the Gaster stuff doesn't stop there in Undertale. There's also entry number 17, which strangely is an entry that is missing from the True Lab area of the game. This is kind of confusing because Alphys was already the royal scientist at the time the True Lab entries were written, so why would Gaster just come in and write 17 when she clearly wrote 16 and 18? This to me seems like a completely independent entry of its very own. The room, which is actually just a screen, can be accessed by manipulating the room number in the game files. This will bring up a truly disturbing, droning, distorted sound as Wingdings is typed out, and a voice can be heard speaking much like how it would sound if any other character was speaking in the game. Translating this message from Wingdings reads, entry number 17, dark, darker, yet darker. The darkness keeps growing, the shadows cutting deeper. Photon readings negative. This next experiment seems very, very interesting. What do you two think? This entry seems to be more in line with Deltarune, with Gaster referencing the Dark World. There are heavy implications that although the stories of Undertale and Deltarune are separate, there are some elements that are certainly linked. The other question that arises from this dialogue is who Gaster is talking to, as he clearly asks the opinions of two unknown individuals. One of them has to be Sans, and the other is a real mystery. I mean, I don't think Papyrus would really fit in here. You'll also run into the river person who tells you, beware of the man who speaks in hands. And this is obviously a reference to Gaster and Wingdings. Yet another cryptic piece of evidence related to Gaster. Something I don't hear a lot of people talk about here on YouTube is in the True Lab, you come to this part with the refrigerators before turning on the fans, and you get this message if you explore the room that tells you that there is something here in the shape of a man. And I mean, come on, I feel like it's a given. We're in the True Lab, all these experiments, and yes, Alphys is definitely responsible for the amalgamates, but I feel like Gaster is here, and he is definitely having a look at the proceedings. You'll also find a sound test room, which also depends on the fun value, and you'll actually get to listen to Gaster's theme. Yes, an actual piece of music dedicated to the man. There are dozens of characters who are featured more prominently in the game who don't even get their own piece of music. Now hold that thought, because this theme is rearranged for the intro of Deltarune Chapter 1, and it appears that Gaster himself is speaking to us as we create a vessel, and in the file of this sprite, it's called Goner. This is interesting because we actually run into two characters, Goner Kid and Clam Girl, who are also Goners. These two characters don't say anything about Gaster like his followers, but they are suspiciously grayscale like the followers. Plus, Clam Girl disappears just like Gaster and one of the followers. Plus, before disappearing, Clam Girl suggests that we should meet her neighbor's daughter, Susie, a name that is specifically highlighted, and who is not so coincidentally one of the heroes in Deltarune. However, you'll only get the Goner version of Clam Girl and her talking about Susie in the Nintendo Switch and Xbox version of the game, making for one of the more elusive Gaster Easter eggs, because you can't get this on PC. Seems like Clam Girl crossed between dimensions to inform us of Susie. I think that when we see these characters teleporting, they are traveling between the Undertale world and the one in Deltarune. It just seems to be a little too perfect to be anything but that. Now, here we are creating our very own grayscaled character, plus the dialogue is stylized just like Gaster. Yeah, so I think it's pretty clear that this whole opening sequence is being witnessed by Gaster himself. The other very, very interesting thing about this intro is that if you enter the name Gaster for either you or your creation, and if you enter the name in Undertale, the game goes right back to the opening cutscene. This is pretty telling that this name carries quite a bit of weight, that even Toby went so far as to program this pretty unique jump scare into both games. I mean, think about it. A mere name causes these games to reject it in a pretty shocking way. It's as if speaking the man's name is forbidden in some weird sort of way. Sham also tells us that a strange person was in contact with Jevil, and he started to go insane, but he even started making a little bit of sense. Sham said this caused his outlook to become darker yet darker. I think this is pretty obviously a hint that Jevil was driven mad courtesy of Gaster. And of course, this relates to entry number 17. And when we near the end of chapter 1, we come upon the shelter if we wander to the bottom of town. And we'll hear a strange mechanical sound coming from inside, but if we speed it up, guess what we hear? Yeah, doesn't that sound familiar? That's so damn creepy and cryptic. You'll also hear it again if you try using your cell phone in the dark world in chapter 2, and you'll get a message that says it's nothing but garbage noise.
It's Gaster. What now?
Meow 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 meow.
And when you talk to this Addison who adds some backstory on Spamton, he tells you that one day Spamton was talking on the phone and he heard garbage noise. Looks like Spamton was in contact with Gaster. I can safely say this isn't merely a recycled sound effect. Gaster just fits so well into so many theories. Gaster certainly has a fascination with the dark world and seemingly found it. So experimenting within it certainly would be something on his to-do list, I would imagine. I honestly doubt the knight is in control of everything, and Gaster would be the perfect person to be in control of all the variables going on in the story. Gaster can, without a doubt, travel through time and space, which explains his presence in both Undertale and Deltarune. And it goes without saying that he is more than just a person or a monster. He is a force, a person who is always watching, waiting, and is very methodical. To sum it up, I think I would compare Gaster to Marvel's The Beyonder, a man who uses people as pawns in his universal game. I think we honestly all know big things are planned for Gaster and all this lore that has carefully been panned out for what's going to be well over a decade before Deltarune is all said and done won't be for naught. We're in for one of the biggest payoffs in video game history. This is going to be pure cinema, and I'm here for every moment of it. Toby Fox has given us just enough Gaster to keep the man relevant and within the minds of the fandom, but then again, not too much, so we're always left wondering, leaving us with an effective boogeyman that haunts Undertale and Deltarune at every turn. There's tons of evidence of Gaster all around us, but he's so elusive, and so elusive that if you had someone play Undertale or Deltarune with no knowledge of Gaster, they probably would be none the wiser to his existence. Now, that is what I call a mystery man. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Let me know some of your favorite Gaster theories, or what do you think is in store for Gaster and Deltarune? I'd love to know, so let's discuss it down below, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my subscribers for your continued support, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.